Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bama Standard, your number one source for Alabama football and Alabama legends. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, over-the-hill powerlifter and Bama grad, Justin Riley. With me, as always, the senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine and the man that Paul Feim uses for instant credibility, Stephen M. Smith.
Hey!
And tonight, our fearless leader, our producer, the man that keeps our platform going, Mr. Joseph Lasada is in the building. What's going on?
You're not going to cut me off, are you?
Not this time. As long as you don't fanboy
okay.
too much.
All right, everybody. What's up? Let's do this.
We got beard, shades, and hat. Let's go!
So, guys, as you can tell already, Mr. Marvin Constant is absent. Well, he had a little bit of car trouble before we got on tonight, so he has to attend to that, and he may be on later along with Steve Brown. But, guys, we are here for a very special reason tonight. We have another legend, a guy that I consider family. I'm excited to have on here. And to properly introduce him, I'm going to hand the mic over to the best hype man in the business, Mr. Stephen M. Smith. Sir, please do the honors.
I mean, Justin, I will not be able to do this as proper justice, man, because the brother we got right here, I mean, what more can I say? We're talking about one of the best fullbacks to ever play the game. I mean, he taught Justin Newty Fowler how to play the game. We talk about one of the most bruising, powerful fullbacks who have the speed, the pop, the explosion, all of that in a bag of chips. I mean, I'm referring to none other than Mr. Tarrant the Man Lynch. Tarrant the Man, Pimp Money Lynch is in the building.
Thanks for that introduction. I appreciate it.
Man, we're really excited to have you here tonight, man. Thank you. By the way, folks, this man is on vacation. He's taking out his vacation time to meet with us tonight. So this is a big deal. We appreciate that, brother.
Hey, not a problem at all.
All right, before we jump into it, in honor of Mr. Lynch, what we're going to do, we normally have constant chaos at this time, but Marvin is experiencing a little bit of chaos himself. So Mr. Stephen M. Smith has a question. He posed this question last night on his show. We're going to buy or sell something. Stephen M. Smith, if you would, tell us what we're going to either buy or sell tonight.
We're going to sell the Alabama Crimson Tide in terms of a second consecutive undefeated season. I know it's hard to go perfect one time in college football. It's very difficult due to the challenges that being in the sport. When you look at, of course, last season we had the COVID pandemic, and we were trying to see how to navigate that. But when you had players that were sick, coaches that had missed time due to the pandemic, and also Coach Saban himself, who suffered symptoms in the Iron Bowl and missed that game. But despite all of the confusion that took place, Alabama still had a perfect undefeated regular season that ended up in a national championship. Now, I do see another championship for Alabama. I just don't see another perfect season just due to Florida's going to be good this year. I look at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. That guy's got stuff up his sleeve. You got to watch him. LSU, even though Ed Ogeron will be holding on to that 2019 trophy for dear life, because he knows the NCAA investigations are knocking at the back door, and LSU is going to be somewhat decent this year. And then you also have to keep your eyes on the Auburn Tigers. Yes, I know you got to keep your eyes on Auburn. They have a brand new head coach, and one thing we all know is when Auburn gets a new head coach, they tend to get hyperly aggressive at times. We'll see what happens. But just to me, it's just hard to go back-to-back perfection in back-to-back years. I'm not putting it past Nick Saban to do this. I'm just saying, to me, it's very difficult.
Personally, I don't see Auburn doing anything, and that's not a jab at your glasses either.
Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate the love.
Well, of course, before we go around the room and get everybody's take on whether they are buying Alabama going undefeated or selling the idea, Stephen M. Smith, what do you see as the greatest obstacle, or who do you see may be the obstacle to support your decision to sell not going undefeated?
I'm going to say that the matchup against Florida and Gainesville, that's going to be a that's going to be the most challenging matchup on the schedule due to Emory Jones is good. I mean, I know what Kyle Trask did a season ago, and not having Kyle Pitts, not having Trayvon Grimes or Kadarius Toney is going to be an interesting, daunting task for Florida to find different guys to create within that offense. But Emory Jones is a very, very, very capable quarterback. This is a Dan Mullen type of guy. When you look at the quick twitch athleticism, the powerfulness in his athleticism, as well as his ability to throw the football. The main enemy to Emory Jones is going to be Dan Mullen himself. Does he put too much on Emory Jones and forces Emory to do too much? Because the atmosphere in Gainesville is going to be crazy. It's going to be hot, steamy, muggy down there in the swamp. Alabama has not been down there since, I believe, 2010 or 2011, if I'm mistaken. I think the Gators will be the biggest obstacle. Some look at Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher. Some even look at Alabama hosting Ole Miss and Bryant Denny. But I think that game against Florida down there in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium will probably be, or more than likely be, the biggest challenge.
Well, Tarrant, I'd like to get your take on this. Of course, you won the 1992 National Championship. How hard is it coming back the next year and replicating that same result? Not just winning a title, but going undefeated, especially in the SEC.
Oh, that's definitely hard. I mean, the championship year, you lose a lot of talented players that the next guy got to step up. It can be done, especially here at Alabama. They got all the players, they got all the talent there to do it. And of course, Coach Saban, one of the greatest coaches around, has ever been there. He's going to motivate them, get them with everything they need to do to be where they need to be at. So I'm buying it there. Definitely going to go undefeated. They got a lot of young guys that stepped up, showed me last year that, they could be, All-American this year. Got a couple quarterbacks that I think they can go in school, start, and, they decide to come to Alabama. I think they're going to be great players, receivers, defensive backs, defensive line. I think the total picture, Alabama's going to be on top again.
Absolutely. Now, as you look at that running back room we have now, how much of it reminds you of the backfield that you were a part of, back in your day? I mean, people don't understand that was a pretty impressive room. I mean, the list goes on and on of names, but what do you see from this group that reminds you of your group?
As far as the running back, I think the power. Of course, that Sherman, Chris, and when I was there, Saran, all those guys had power. These guys that they have now from the last couple of years got both power and speed. Somewhat like we did. They don't use a fullback that much, but had an H-back and everything. It's totally different from what we had. We had a fullback in there pretty much every down, and there was just that one back with the H-back in there. And it's totally different. The running back's got to be a bruising guy. He got to do everything that he has. Got to use his eyes to cut right, left, run over people, do whatever he got to do. So that's the thing that Sherman did, and Chris Anderson and Saran, all those guys did too. So last couple of years, Alabama's been, pretty talented at the running back position.
Well, Joseph Lasada, let's just get to you. What are your thoughts? Do you buy the Alabama's going to go undefeated, or do you sell that?
My only big concern right now is Texas A&M. I think people are not really noticing all the skill they have. Honestly, I'm going to buy they're going to go undefeated. One reason is because you can't discount the talent that Alabama has. I mean, it's pretty much a virtual NFL team. I'm going to have to say, yes, they're going to go undefeated, and I think they're going to go all the way with the national championship. A lot of people are betting against that. But Texas A&M is a contender this year. This is going to be a team that people need to watch out for.
I agree that Texas A&M is probably one of the more talented teams we're going to play this year. The only thing that I guess that can limit them from reaching that extra level is the fact that they're breaking in a brand new quarterback. So that's something to look for. But I think the games against Ole Miss and then Florida kind of in the same time is going to make things a little bit difficult for us. So now I'm going to sell.
With that said, though, Alabama's bringing in a new quarterback too.
Absolutely, and that's another thing. We're bringing in Bryce Young, breaking him in, but we're also going to be starting a new offensive line. We're replacing some starters who are going to be the NFL now. So anytime you got a new offensive line, getting them to gel and get their timing together is something that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think the thing that we're overlooking right now is we just got to take it one game at a time, and that first game of the year is going to set the tone for us for the rest of the year. And that the team that we're playing, they got something to prove against us, which is Miami. So, we can't overlook them. They were a talented team last year. So we can't overlook them. Looking at all these other SEC teams, we got to take it one game at a time. And that first game, we got to get by it. And that right there will set the tone for the rest of the year.
I could not agree more on that. All right. Well, now let's shift our focus to honoring the man, Tarrant Lynch. So if you would indulge us with some questions, man, being fans that we are. I promised your fans, your family, your folks back home that I'll show a little bit of love first to Hazelwood.
Oh, yeah.
Right now we look at football factories like IMG Academy, Mater Dei, Hoover, and the list goes on. But back in the 80s and 90s, y'all were getting it done. I think at one point, y'all won 5 state championships in a row, and y'all were the pipeline for Alabama for a number of years. So if you would, man, touch on that a little bit. Tell us about how special it was playing there and how y'all were able to do what you did.
It was very special playing, at a school like Hazelwood. One thing about it, we started from a young age, looking at the guys ahead of us that won the championships in the 70s and 80s when we were young kids and everything. We just didn't like to lose. It was a 365 days a year thing for us. We was either out there in the yard playing pitch up and smear football with a plastic cup if we didn't have a football, but that was something we did every day. We didn't ride the bikes and sit in the house and everything. We was outside. We don't care if it rained, snow, sleet, or whatever, 100-degree weather. We was outside playing because we wanted to be better than the team that was there before us. We wanted to be, talked about, be the legends at Hazelwood. So we didn't want to lose because if we lost, we would definitely get talked about that Saturday morning. But that's something that we wanted to do. With great players that we wanted to be like. We always had those guys come back motivating us, being on the sidelines and pushing us and doing this and doing that. And the fans also was great. They never, let us take off doing the slack or anything. But it was an honor and a privilege to play at the Hazelwood High School.
No doubt. So what was the competition like between you and your cousin Antonio Langham coming up? How'd y'all keep each other motivated?
We always, it wasn't like any competition. We always tried to, motivate each other. He see me doing something, he wanted to do the same thing. We always talk about, being one of the greatest, at Hazelwood and, at the next level also. So, he pushed me and I pushed him. And, if he was having issues or problems in one game, I'd give him a little boost or whatever. And I was having the same issue, he'd do the same for me. So we kept pushing each other. It was never a competition thing between us.
Tarrant, how much of it was, hating to lose versus loving to win? Because you see a lot of players say, I love to win, but some of the players that say, I just really hate to lose, they have more of that, I guess, dog mentality about themselves. So how much it was really, I hate to lose versus I love to win?
We hated to lose, hated. That was one of our things. If we was to lose a game, we would, after the game, go talk to each other, talk to some of the players and see what are some of the things that we need to do. We get to practice that Monday and try to fix what the problem was that caused us to lose that game before. So losing, man, that's something that would, it still bothers us today, losing games from the high school, losing a team like Carver County and teams like that. that still bothers you in the back of your mind. But at least we can say that we did dedicated our souls and blood, sweat, and tears, and left it all on the field when we was there at Hazelwood. So we definitely hated to lose.
At least y'all had the right mindset about it, because when we lost in high school, we fought our teammates. We came back on the field on Monday. We slanging helmets, pads, ice cream. We hitting our teammates in the face. It was bad.
That's us. We would never argue amongst each other. Now, once we get out there on that field on Monday and got in the pads and stuff like that, it was totally different. I mean, we would go out there, we'd butt heads and do all this and try to make everything right. But we go out there and practice even harder. I mean, if it takes hitting each other in the mouth out there at practice, that what we do. But off of the field, we never, argue, point fingers, or do anything like that. We was a team, and when one player messed up, the whole team messed up. So that was the mentality that we had.
As a fan, I always like to hear stories about the playing days. But one of the biggest questions I ask every college football player is, what was the recruiting aspect like? What teams were looking at you? What was it like going to Alabama for the first time?
It was awesome. Yeah, we in Antonio, we had pretty much college offers at pretty much every school in the nation, and I think this is what I told Justin last time we talked. I think a lot of things, once a lot of people figured out, we Hazelwood, a lot of had the good boys going to Alabama, a lot of guys going there. I think that pushed a lot of teams away, a lot of colleges away, because they figured, they already got relatives and everything down there that, we really don't have a chance of going, getting those guys. It's going to be between either Alabama or Auburn. So that pushed a lot of teams away. And at times it became hectic and all that stuff. But, it was a great feeling, to have, all the schools like that in behind you when you come to their school.
Well, to piggyback
on Justin.
Yeah.
Justin, something's going on. I hate to do this on the live, but for some reason everybody sees me. They don't see nothing else.
I guess you're front and center, man. You're the star right now.
I'm getting messages right now by a bunch of people says the only thing we see is me.
As I work on that, to piggyback off recruiting, Tarrant, what was it like having Gene Stallings in your living room? What was the conversation like? What was that feeling, and how did he sell you on Alabama?
Coach Stallings, he was an honest coach. He came in and he told me, I ain't gonna promise you that you would start, but if you come down there and do what you're supposed to do, you have a good chance of starting. You got to make sure you have grades. That's the main thing that he focused on, is you got to stay in your school. You got to get your grades, and that's one thing my mom, was appreciative of, and she liked Coach Stallings for putting the emphasis and focus on the school and not just into football. And it was like having someone like Coach Stallings there was amazing.
So Tarrant, just talking about school there, what are your thoughts on the name, image, likeness that's going on right now, and seeing players getting paid, picking up endorsement deals, partnerships, things like that? I know during your playing days, I'm pretty sure you would have loved to have had something like this during your time. But how do you feel about name, image, likeness?
I think as far as putting money in the players' pockets is a good thing. But I just don't want that to take the focus away from the players. There's good and the bad to it. Good is, like I said, putting money in the players' pocket. But the bad is, I think, some of the players are going to be like they are in the NFL players. You can't tell them anything when they're making, a lot of money and all that stuff. And, the coaches try to tell them all that stuff, what to do and what they need to do and everything. Some of the players is not, going to be like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm the man, and they're getting, all this money and all this hype and all this publicity. That's the downside of it. You gotta play football and graduate and go to school and everything. It's good that they're getting money in their pocket, but don't let that take the focus away what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, to illustrate my next question, I got a little clip from your early days at Alabama. If you don't mind, I'd like to show that. you're easily one of the toughest to ever play at Alabama. And of course, that was on full display. 1990 versus Vandy. You erupted there for that 77-yard touchdown run. What a lot of people don't know is that during that game, you tore your ACL, but you kept playing. How were you able to do that? Can you talk about that?
Well, actually, on that touchdown run right there, it had torn in. It was torn in when I was running. I think probably a couple plays before that, I heard pop, and I think it was torn in. I still played. As long as it stayed loose and everything like that, it was fine. It never gave me any problem. But as soon as the game was over and sit down and relax and everything up, and man, that thing, I barely could walk on it.
Do you think that a lot of that toughness, like what you experienced back in your day and what you showed, is missing from the game today, or do you still think it's something that's predominant?
I think it's still some toughness there, but I don't think they're as anywhere as tough as as we were. We played through everything, torn ligaments, sprained knees, pretty much broken fingers and ankles. You gotta have that toughness and that mentality to push yourself. I mean, I don't want you out there on a broken leg trying to keep going and mess them up. Even seriously, I just think that guys can, if they can push themselves and know their body and everything, if they're hurt a little bit, keep on pushing yourself.
Mr. Lynch,
Yes.
we have a lot of great running backs come out of Alabama, but one in particular is Kevin Turner. Mm-hmm. He's no longer with us. How much of an influence was he on your career at Alabama?
Oh man, I think Kevin was one of the best fullbacks, one of the best players that ever come to the University of Alabama. Kevin taught me a lot. I remember when I first got down there, I got down that tailback and all that stuff. And Kevin, he came and talked to me and showed me some of the ins and outs of some of the things he used to do. Kevin, he was just an awesome player. He would, he wasn't, even with him, being the man on the team and all that stuff, he wasn't and had a big head and all that stuff. He was a level-headed guy. Kevin was just an awesome guy. If you had any questions to ask him, he would be more than happy to answer it. And if he didn't know the answer, he'd go find it for you. So Kevin was like a big brother or something like that, and he helped me out a whole lot.
We have a question from the audience. It's too bad that Marvin's not here to give his answer on it. But James Knox has a question that says 4th and 1, 45 being you and 45 being Marvin Constant. Who wins the collision?
I think 45 on offense wins that collision.
Oh! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. So I gotta ask this, Tarrant. I mean, when we bring players on here that talk about Gene Stallings, that they talk about him in such a revered way, like they really revered what Coach Stallings did. So how much was he a player's person, and he made it about the players, whether it was recruiting, whether it was once you got on campus, how much was he 100% about? It's not about me. It's about you, the player. It's about you, the man. It's about you, the total package. How much was he sincerely in that role?
I think he was very sincere about, you and your family. He always emphasized, family is everything. He always said, if you got family members, relatives that's ill and sick and everything, you need to go check on them, no matter day or whether you practice or had a game or whatever. You'd rather you go check on your family than to be out there on the field practicing and everything, because you can always come back to football, but family members not always going to be there. It's just like now. I don't know if any of you guys know, but my grandmother passed away yesterday, and on the way back home, that's when I found out she had passed away. And that's one thing Coach Stallings always said. Family comes first, no matter what.
Well, before we get started, I know for the first 25 minutes, the audience could not see anything but me. I want to apologize to everybody who's blinded. this was short notice. I didn't really get to trim up or anything. So for everybody who saw nothing but me, I know everybody came to see Mr. Lynch. That's for every Alabama fan watching this right now. I apologize. But for the next 25 minutes, we got Mr. Lynch. He's going to tell everybody great stories about Alabama. And once again, this is the reason why they don't let me come on. So with that said, let's go ahead and continue.
Yeah, beard and shades. You good, bro? Beard shades. You all right?
Tell you what, man, you let the little folks have a piece of the pie, all chaos breaks out, man. I don't know what's Try to show a little bit of God's grace to folks, and this is what happened. No.
Hold on. Don't do that, Justin. Let's not do that.
Well, let's get back to it then. Tarrant, the 1991 season was a vital turning point for the program. For you, as a return from a major injury, what did that season mean to you?
It meant a lot. It meant me seeing what I could actually do on my knee, once I had the surgery. And also, it was a major move for me because I moved from tailback to fullback that year because we had a lot of guys getting hurt, a lot of other problems, and we really didn't have that many fullbacks. And it was a big change because I never had to play any fullback and never really had to block in high school or anything like that. So it was a big change for me, something that I had to, get in my mind that it's something that I can do.
Okay.
So, in your opinion, Tarrant, what would it take to make the fullback position one of relevance again, especially in the NFL? Because at Alabama, you had yourself, you had Turner playing at fullback, you had Justin Fowler at that position, you had Martin Houston. So a lot of guys that knew how to play that role, how to block, how to run the football. Of course, now they want you catching passes out the backfield too. So, what would it take, in your opinion, for that position to go back to being something that we got to draft fullbacks? We got to have this position as an impact spot again.
Well, I think it's more of the defense changing things on us. I mean, once the defense changed, the offense got to change, and then when they went away from fullbacks and everything, they opened the offense up a whole lot more, and got more a lot of passes, and like I said, they put the H back in there, and they can put him where they wanted to put him, and I don't think it ever happened again. I don't see it happening. That was something like, we had to go away from the way they were doing it in the 70s and 60s and 70s, and we changed it in the 80s and 90s, and they've changed it now. So I don't think that would help any team out going back to the I or anything like that with the fullback in there. I don't think that'll help us any with the way defenses are stacking up and the talent on defense. When you got defensive lineman that's running 4.4s and can run down a running back, and strong as ox and linebacker strong, I don't think you're doing it good with fullback being in there now. So you got to open the offense up without the fullback.
Well, I think everybody, especially all the Alabama fans, really want to know is about the 1992 season. You had Chris Rembley, you had George Teague, you had yourself, Jay Barker. You had the all-time greats of the University of Alabama.
Deuce, Pop.
More importantly, y'all won the national championship, and for a long time, for 17 years, we never saw another national championship. One question. Tell us what it was like to win a national championship, and two, what did it mean to you in 2009 to see Alabama win another national championship after a long drought?
92, that was a great year. I don't think anyone, I think we had maybe one sports writer that stuck with us the whole year, that was behind us the whole year knowing that we was going to win it. And other than that, it was just our team and our coaches knew that we was going to win it and was capable of winning it. And, we went out there, we took it one game at a time, and it was several games that we, barely won, but we won it. And we went all the way undefeated to the end of the year, got to play Miami in the championship game, and everyone thought we didn't have a chance at all, but we know we did. And we went out there and gave it 110%, and we knew we could do it, especially with the talent that we had on that team. We went out there and did what we were supposed to do, and we won that championship. And to see them win it for the first time in since then, in 2009, it was awesome. I mean, it brought back a lot of memories because that team right there sort of was like, the team that we had back in '92. They had a lot of talent on that team. A lot of guys on that team went to the NFL, and with Coach Saban coming in and doing what he did, it was awesome. Anytime you see your school, your university win a national championship is always great.
During the 1992 season, Tarrant, I mean, just that championship game, Miami came in with a lot of swag, man. Miami came in with a lot of energy. They came in there thinking that we're going to run these guys over. These guys from Bama, they ain't nothing, man. We Miami. We the U. Like, we're going to run these guys over. But there was an edge that entire defense played with, whether it was Copeland or Curry or Teague or Langham. Like, those guys came in there like, y'all not going to run us over. And in the offense, you guys had your own edge. Just talk about the build-up toward that game where, I mean, you mentioned not a lot of people were behind y'all in terms of media people thinking y'all were going to win, but how much edge did y'all have in yourselves? Like, we could take the top off of Miami.
Well, I think a lot of people saw that we had guys on defense. We had several All-Americans on defense, and they did their job every game. And the thing about it is, people overlooked that we had 5 or 6 All-Americans on defense the whole year. And I think it was a Miami thing because, it's Miami. They all, showboating and gotten rappers and all of them on the sideline. They scoring. And I think that would scare a lot of people is when they come out in the field and they run them out and talking and everything. But we, the University of Alabama, we weren't scared of that. I mean, we went out there. We showed them what a real team could do. And we went out there and did it without, talking, fighting, fussing, or anything like that. We went out there and did what we were supposed to. And we came out on top.
T, for me, it's hard to pinpoint your best game. One thing I remember about you was in the biggest games like Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, and your final game at Ohio State, you showed out. Do you, in your mind, have a best game?
To me, I think this is a funny story with Coach Stallings. I think my best game was '94 when we played Tennessee, and that game right there, we always leave that Friday going to, where we had to play at, and we had to go to Tennessee to play them. And I was thinking that the flight left at 11:30 when it actually left at 11. So I got to Brown Hall expecting, to be ready to leave, and they're already gone. So I jumped in my truck and headed to the airport. And by the time I got to the airport, the plane was taking off. I said, oh, man, what am I going to do? So I went back to the dorm, went back to the conference center over the practice field over there. And I talked to the secretary and everything. They told me I had to fly in that evening with the coaches. So I missed practice, meals, and all that stuff that Friday. So I got in that night with the coaches about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So that morning we came down for breakfast. And, I was sitting down there eating. And how you can feel someone just staring a hole at you like you're in trouble. So I cut my eyes over there. I seen Coach Stallings over there. He just sitting. He always sat with his legs crossed, his hand on his knee, just looking. So might as well go play some music. Yeah. So I get up, go over there, sit down with him, and man, he told me a new one. Made me feel about this big. I mean, he told me if I had, someone, that's right there with you that can do the things you could do, I would send your butt back home right now. Man. He's serious. So, I had to redeem myself. So I went out there and did all the blocking and catching and did everything. So I think that Tennessee game was one of my best games I've had since I was down in Alabama.
Man, Coach Stallings did you like that casting director did me in Tokyo Drift. I was carrying the wrong muffler, and the casting director was like, Steven, I can fire you and get somebody else to carry this muffler, the wrong muffler.
Hey, Coach Stallings, man. He doesn't have to say anything. He can give you that look.
I mean, I know. I'm just saying the way he did that remind me of that casting director did he on set. Like, I'm like, God, I thought I grabbed the right muffler.
No, I got one more question. You talk about Gene Stallings, and I just saw this movie. I've seen it 2,000 times, but I saw it last week. Did Gene Stallings ever talk about the Junction Boys days? Player.
He never did. Not when I was around, or I haven't heard anybody else say he. But he never, he may have brought it up once or twice, like the early part of before, the season started, when we started fall practice. He may have brought that up, as far as talking about the Heat trying to, motivate us and let us know some of the stuff that those guys went through, the ones that stayed there, some of the stuff that they went through, and some of the stuff that motivated them to stay there. And I think a lot of stuff was, the mentality of, we're here at Alabama, we don't want to, quit and go back home and be considered a loser, couldn't make it or whatever. So, I commend those guys that stayed. And I think it's still like right now, I think those guys, I know they used to do 2 or 3 day practices, 3-a-day practices. They did 2 days when I was there, but 3 days, man. And it's heat, man.
It's especially what they went through with no water. And, I couldn't imagine, I think Justin, Steve, myself, everybody on this interview has played at least played high school football, and I could not imagine going through what they went through. And be honest with you, I couldn't imagine going through what you guys went through in '92 and during the years of Alabama, because I mean the type of practices y'all went through,
man. It was
I'm
crazy.
gonna be honest. I'll be honest. The minute the whistle blew to start practice, I would have quit. The minute the whistle blew to start the practice, I would have quit. No cap, for real. The moment the whistle blew, hey, Coach Stallings, I got a cramp in the calf. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Like,
I mean, Lynch, tell us about those days at practice, because what practice is today, even in high school, even in colleges today, is nothing compared to what you went through in the years you played at Alabama. Tell us a little about that.
I'll tell you what, man. In that '92 season, man, I dreaded Wednesdays. I dreaded Wednesday practice, because you're gonna see Eric, you're gonna see John Copeland, you're gonna see all those other guys, Langham, all those guys on defense, man, and it's ones against ones, and man, you talking about rough. If you left that practice not sore, buckled up, or limping or something, you didn't do anything, because those guys on defense, Curry and Copeland, man, they didn't take a play off. If they had a chance to hit you, they were gonna hit you.
With that being said, how much easier were actual games as compared to practices?
Oh man, I tell you, it was man, totally. It was like it was a breeze, man, because you like I said, you got all Americans on defense that you're going against. I think probably the toughest team that we played that year in '92 that matched up with close to our defense was Louisiana Tech. Those guys, man. I thought we was going against Curry Copeland when we played those guys, because those guys were tough. They had guys that on that defense, I think they had several of them going to the NFL that year. And I think they had Willie Rofe on offense that year.
Yep.
So, that's one of the toughest games in '92 was Louisiana Tech.
I was about to bring up Willie Rofe being on the offensive line there. One of the things that stood up to me in regards to you the most was, no matter what your assignment was, you were going 150%. It's like every play was going to be your last play. Can you talk about that?
Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. My job is to go out there and block whatever I need to do out there. I want to see everybody else shine. It's my job to make the running back look good. The line, it's my job. I go out there and if I had to do block, run, catch, pass, whatever I did, whatever the coaches asked me to do, and that's where I was brought up. If you're not going to give 110% or anything like that, you want to slack in and play, you might as well go sit on the bench. My mom, she always used to tell me, I can remember, being on Little League, and I was out there, wasn't doing what I was doing. I was letting everybody run over me and all that stuff. So she got me back home, made me put all my pads on. And I had a cousin that was 4 or 5 years older than me. She had me out there trying to block and tackle him. She made me stay out there for, 45 minutes to an hour doing that. So from then on, it stuck in my mind that, that this is something that I need to do. And it was instilled in me give it all out there on the field. No, don't slack in anything. That's even in the classroom, being a father, being whatever. Just give your all in everything you do.
Do you see anybody, T, on this coming up Bama team right here that is kind of that dirty work guy the way you were?
It's just several guys. That was Meacham. I think he's going to be awesome. Of course, the line. They're tough bruisers. The running backs we have, they're bruisers too. I mean, there's some big guys there. It's a lot of guys out there that put them in the mind of me. And I think those guys that's there now, they have better facilities that we have that can help them out. And when they get injured or whatever, they got a whole lot better things there that can help them heal a whole lot sooner than we did. And they got better stuff there. So I think pretty much that whole team out there is some bruisers.
Now you brought up Mechie first though. So what is it particularly about him? Because I know we all saw that hit he had in the SEC championship against Florida. I mean, he laid that guy out. I'm still suffering a minor concussion just thinking about that hit on the guy. But what in particular about Mechie has you like, that guy can go?
Well, he can play several positions. He play tight end, receiver. I mean, anywhere I put him at, and he can excel at it. I mean, I've watched him, last year. I was like, man, this guy's great. They're not talking about him enough. I mean, and he did something every game. I mean, it might not have been as much, as you thought it was, but the stuff that he did was awesome. I mean, I look forward to seeing him this year.
One of the best games I ever witnessed was the Citrus Bowl your senior year. It had to feel a title game, especially with the star power going on there. And coincidentally, like I said earlier, that was one of your best games. Mm-hmm. What was that game like to you?
Oh, man, it was awesome. Especially to be playing against, the Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George on the other side of the field. It was awesome. Those guys there, Ohio State, they were a great team that year. And, we went out there and, we got a feel for the guys. And, Sherman had a great game. I had a great game. The whole offensive line and especially defense had a great game. Once we went out there and started, gelling, meshing, doing what we're supposed to do, everything came together and we put, a great game plan together and we executed and we came out on top. I mean, and I did what I was supposed to do and everybody else did what they're supposed to do. And anytime that happened, you're going to come out on top.
And for your efforts, you were awarded being elected team captain that year. What did that honor mean to you?
Oh, man, that was a great honor. I mean, especially when you got, players like Sherman Williams, some other guys that were great players on that team. And to be, chosen, to be captain was showed that the team, respected me and had faith in me and all that. And that, that was a great, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to let those guys down because they chose me to be the captain, one of the captains on the team.
Well, guys, before we move on to our next segment, do y'all have any more questions for our legendary guest?
Yeah, we got a question from Raylan on YouTube.
So I was trying to remember all the talent that came out of North Alabama in the later 80s and the early 90s. I guess he's wanting you to, name some of those guys that came out around that time from your era.
In the later 80s, we had, of course, we had Pierre came out in 85. We had his brother Clyde came out in 86. We had Tony Harris came out in 88. Rest in peace, Tony Harris. He went to Mississippi State. And of course, we had Antonio Langham. We had guys from Dessler to go play. We had Kenyatta Jones was a great guy from Carver County. He excelled over at UNA. I mean, he broke all type of records there. It was a lot of guys from North Alabama. We had several guys from the Cortland area that excelled. So we had a lot of guys in the North Alabama region that, that were great players. A lot of them could have went to Division I school, but a lot of them, want to go take a different route. A lot of them want to stay, close to home with the family. And, I don't hate them for that. But like I said, it was a lot of talent that came from North Alabama area.
And real fast, Justin, our friends from Off the Cuff podcast, want to give them a shout out.
What's going on, fellas? Roll Tide. We appreciate the love tonight. So one last question for me before we move on. T, when it comes to your accomplishments at Alabama, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as, a great leader, someone that, you can always count on, someone that left everything out on the field, a level-headed guy, one of the nicest person that, you can ever meet. But,
So you're getting on that field, though.
Yeah, till you get on that field. Till you get on that field. And, that's one of the things is, that, I was very respectable, a great guy, genuine guy. He's all that in one. I mean, it's just somebody that you can ask to do anything. He's definitely going to do it and get it done.
Now, since we had our technical difficulties earlier, unfortunately, the audience did not see that clip. So, I got to make sure you're properly taken care of. So I'm going to show that clip one more time for our audience, just because, man, tell you what, you could knock some folks in the dirt, but you could also break some ankles, brother.
Oh yeah, when I was first got there as a freshman, of course I was tailback, and man, I was a whole lot lighter on my feet and everything. So I think I had one of the other than Saran and that right there, I thought I had one of the quickest feet down there. I could shake and break a couple ankles and take it to the house if needed. But that's something in the past, so we don't want to get out in that.
Great way to start your freshman year, no doubt. All right, folks, now it's time for one of our other favorite segments, and that's the depth chart. And that's with Mr. Stephen M. Smith, where he keeps us all up to date on what's going on with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this past weekend, he spent some time with some former Alabama legends, Mr. Bo Scarbrough at his camp and Devontae Smith at his camp. Before I turn it over to him, I'm going to show you some clips so you can see a little bit of what he experienced.
And just lean on it. Man, we trying to generate power so we can knock somebody in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? So we hip. We want to boom. You know what I'm saying? Don't just lean to them. Make them feel it. I want them to feel it. There you go. Stay low, B. Stay low. Stay low. Flip the wheel. There you go. Flip the wheel. Get out of here. Come on. There you go. Wait a minute. Flip the wheel. Don't forget my bird. That's it. Give me my bird.
I don't know about you, Stephen, but it looks like Shank still got it.
He does, man. Like that was crazy. I really enjoyed myself at the Bo Scarbrough camp. First and foremost, Bo Scarborough's a great guy.
Why did you film the poor kid messing up?
No, I wasn't trying to film. Look, I wasn't trying to film him messing up. It just got on the film.
Poor kid's gonna be haunted.
That kid's not gonna be haunted. That kid's gonna be okay. Now back to what I was saying about Shank Taylor.
One moment, Stephen. Before we get into that, Tarrant has to step off. He has some things he has to attend to. Before we go, thank you so much again, brother, for spending time with us and for allowing us to honor your career. It was a privilege and an honor for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Lynch, before you go, I just wanted to say, because I'm the fanboy of the group, this was truly an honor. Watching you play football was a privilege, and I thank you for the memories.
Hey, the honor's all mine. It's always awesome to get back talking to you guys about this right here because, man, like I said, it's nothing like playing football at the University of Alabama. It's awesome.
Well, I started this channel just so I can meet people like you, and it's a great honor. So with that said, I'll stop fanboying.
All right, thank you.
Thank you again. And folks, if you want to keep up with Tarrant, he is on Facebook. I tell you what, he's got some of the most entertaining posts that you'll ever see. And some of the most uplifting too. So definitely check him out. Thank you again, Tarrant. We appreciate it, brother.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, Stephen M., if you would, man, pick up where you left off.
It was a very good camp. I really enjoyed being out there with Bo Scarbrough, great dude. Really giving back to the city of Tuscaloosa, his hometown, Northridge High School, before finishing out his high school career at IMG. And this is prior to going to Alabama, but he brought the whole city out. I mean, kids from Central, kids from Northridge, kids from Paul Bryant High School, just every athlete that can possibly be a 4 or a 5-star recruit was at this camp. And you had, of course, Alphonse Taylor working with the offensive line. He can probably coach somewhere of that energy he's got out there on the field. You got Ronnie Clark, who was working with the running backs. Ronnie Clark played from 2014 to 18. Clark from Calera High School in Alabama. And what people don't recognize is Ronnie Clark was a big-time safety before he got to Alabama. When he got here, he was converted to running back. I don't know why Coach Saban did that, because that's where the Achilles injuries started happening to poor Ronnie. But, Clark is now, a coach back home in Calera, and, did a great job helping out with Bo in his camp, and even one Johnny Jackson, a good friend of mine, Johnny Jackson, CTS-Sports, the training facility in Northport. He's been a big part of mentoring, both a big part of mentoring Scarborough throughout his life. And Jackson was actually an intern on the strength staff here at Alabama from 2008 to 09. So he was a big reason behind that 09 national championship team. Jackson's got stories for days about the moments he spent out there in the training facility with those guys. So the Bo Scarbrough camp was fun. The best part, though, was, and I think Joseph will love this, they had a DJ there that was playing all the trap hits. That DJ was getting paid by the second. I mean, he was dropping some Lil Baby, some Da Baby, hit after hit after hit. And them kids were out there getting turned, especially in the 7-on-7 drill. So it was fun.
Joseph,
why I gotta like the DJs?
It was your playlist.
Because Joseph, you got the shades on. You may have one of them turntables in the back with them little turntables going on back there.
I hear you. All right. We're going to jank on Joey. Okay. Hey,
man.
I see how it's going to be. Hey, I want to say this. Our count went up to 20 views when everybody could just see me. And then as soon as y'all started coming on the screen, it went down. So it had to be something.
Joey, that's why we brought you on here tonight, and that's because you're the eye candy of the group.
Yes.
I mean, we're just using you for the physical. That's all you're about. No substance, just physical.
Ow! Ouch! Ow!
I feel that burn. I feel that burn right there.
No,
that's gonna leave a mark.
We appreciate for you coming on. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and turn it over to you. The CTS has got a new show premiering soon, and let me go ahead and show you a clip. We have somebody that's going to be joining our beloved family, and let's let y'all see.
Clemson, you say Tom! Clemson! Tom! Clemson! Tom!
So you define class as winning in a bar fight? Is that classier?
I ain't never lost a bar fight.
I believe that, Clemson Tom. I do.
Might as well just suck together. Congratulations. Hey, it's like two ugly people getting together. Oh, you're fat and ugly, I'm fat and ugly. Yeah, let's be fat and ugly together. I don't know nothing about that.
Let's get it on.
I'm actually good looking. Not really. Good. I can't wait till we get to Clemson. You know what, ESPN? You're on upset alert. You're upsetting America because your TV channel is absolutely garbage. Why don't you just go make out with the SEC some more? This ain't Vanderbilt where they thought it was loud. We're gonna be standing on our feet the entire time. Remember how loud it was for Louisville? We need to times that by 3. Get that place rocking. We might cause an earthquake. It's gonna be so loud.
You wish you had them that hot in the SEC. Goodness gracious. Makes you want to give up fried food.
Joseph Losada, what are you bringing to our network? An ACC guy? What credibility does an ACC guy have?
Man, let me tell you the backstory. I'm going to make it short and sweet. We had this guy on before we press record. This man was talking so much trash. It wasn't even funny. It got to the point where I even got angry. And, I talked to a couple of us. We had all had a conversation, and We thought it would be good. I didn't think it was going to be that very good, but everybody thought it would be good. We bring on the legendary Clemson Tom to the CTS. So we talked with him. We negotiated terms, and he's coming to the CTS. And we're going to have a show called 3rd and 3. And our first guest, oh, my God, this is Stingway's fault right here.
Man.
Our first guest is going to be legendary SEC quarterback, former Washington Redskins quarterback, and he played for the other team in college, Jason Campbell.
So right there, that's 2 strikes. You've got a Clemson guy infiltrating the network. On top of that, you got a Barner quarterback coming in as a guest.
I just have to ask the one question here, okay? Joseph, just don't lie to us here. Did Dr. Dre give you the bad chronic? Not the chronic album, but the bad chronic weed. Did Dr. Dre slip you the bad chronic? If he did, it's okay. It's okay. Did Dr. Dre slip you the bad chronic?
I don't know. I don't got nothing to say. When we had that show, and if y'all go back and watch it, I mean, this man had made me so freaking angry. I was cussing up a storm. I was ashamed to go back to church.
You was ashamed to go back to church? Whoa. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, if next time I go to church, they're gonna look at me like, when you said some cuss words.
You did.
But I think it's gonna be a good thing. We because of Justin, we also negotiated to get Wesley Britt to come back onto the CTS. Okay. With that said, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to Justin, and because without Justin here on the CTS, this network couldn't go as far as it's gone. So a big shout out to Justin. We couldn't do this without you, and if you ever think about leaving, we're gonna be very, very angry with you. And Stingray, of course, Stingray does a lot, and he does more than he does a lot. And Justin, Stingray, Marvin, Stephen Smith. I'm about to say Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith, right. Steve Brown, and the legendary Marvin Constant. We make this network very, very important, and I thank all y'all for doing so.
I mean, Joseph, you would have been right either way because the M is in my name, so you would have been right either way.
Well, I mean, Stephen Smith sounds a lot better. I mean, it's only one Stephen Smith.
It's true.
Okay.
We got one comment from the audience from Wayland. Dabo is a good coach and a great guy. It's hard for Alabama fans to say that, but not me. Wayland,
I mean, he is a good coach, Wayne, and he is a good coach. He is. I mean, I've never been against Dabo the coach, so he is a good coach. And I guess Wayne was like, no, Stephen, about me asking Joseph about the bad chronic there.
No.
Well, Stephen, before we're running out of time. Before we go, it was a question in that Clemson Tom interview, and I said something to the terms of Stingray asked the question, when Nick Saban retires, is Dabo Swinney come to the Alabama? And my comment was, simply put, he will, or we're going to have our first black head coach at Alabama. So I wanted to know, what did you think? Because you know more about Alabama football than anybody I know.
I will say this. I think Miss Terry holds the keys to the time that Nick Saban goes. So the moment where Miss Terry's ready to go, I think that's when Saban's ready to go. As far as who would succeed Saban, that's tough because I could see possibly the first, black football head coach, possibly. I wouldn't mind Dabo Swinney. I wouldn't mind it. But here's something to keep your eye on. Mario Cristobal is doing something at Oregon. I would not count out him getting the phone call. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Cristobal gets the job, but I'm just saying what he is doing up there in Eugene, I think he would get an interview.
Well, here's the thing about the University of Alabama. We're not going to just hire you know, the University of Alabama is not going to just hire the first black head coach just to hire a black head coach. Alabama's not about, you know, they're about winning. I just don't see them just. I will honestly say, you know, it would have to be somebody big, like a Mike Tomlin. It was going to. It's going to have to be some.
Please. Yes,
That'd be
come
nice.
on, Jesus, come
That'd
on.
be nice.
I
nice.
love Mike Tomlin. Oh,
that'd be really nice.
So, you know, you heard it here first. If when Nick Saban retires, I'm saying right off the bat, it will be a Dabo Swinney, or, you know, and Stevie M. Smith says the guy from Oregon, or I honestly can see a Mike Tomlin coming from the NFL.
Do you know,
and win a couple national championships?
You know how crazy that would be?
He's a college football coach in the NFL. I mean, the way he runs Pittsburgh is, I can see him a great college football head coach.
Well, guys, this is a great topic, and I definitely think we should hit on this next week because we are running out of time. But before I send us home, I want to remind our guests, if you have any questions, any suggestions as far as guests go, email the Bama Standard, thebamastandard@gmail.com. I want to remind everyone to tune in this Friday for the Stingray Scoop on the CTS interview room. Sting is going to wrap up the week in sports and anything else that's going on, may even give you a famous weather report that he tends to give. Also, Marvin Constant's book is still available. If you go to 40plusstrong.com, follow him on Instagram at Constant45. As we always do, we have Legends on every week, and I want to remind everyone, if you've not yet seen our latest promo, next week, former All-American defensive lineman Michael Myers will be joining the Bama Standard. So tune in for that.
Not the scary guy, the actual player.
He was scary.
Hey, whoa, time out. Look at this. Look at this right here. Hang on.
All right, Waylon.
No. Hold on. This comment right here. When Mama calls, enough said. Dabo, come on home, baby. Justin, will you please close us out?
I will. And remind everybody again, Steve Brown will be appearing live at the Stardome July 30th through August 1st. If you're going, get your tickets now because they sell out quick, especially at the Stardome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Had a great time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.